So let's talk about how do we take the following logarithmic expression and convert it over, expand this out in its expanded form here. So we have log base b of the square root of this fraction x to the 7th times y squared over z cubed. In order to expand a logarithmic expression, we need to know the product rule, the quotient rule, and the power rule for logs. So essentially, we're going to be using these rules. These rules are interchangeable, left to right, right to left, just depending if we are expanding or condensing. Before we do anything with this problem, though, we do want to make sure that this is in proper form. So we do need all of our exponents simplified. And what I mean by that is hopefully we do remember that the square root of x is the same thing as raising x to the 1/2 power. These are the same thing. And that is important because we have log base b of the square root of all of this here. So this square root applies to all of these factors inside here, or all of these terms here. So that means since a square root is the same thing as raising it to the 1/2 power, that means what we need to do is we need to take everything we have and raise it to the 1/2 power here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything to the 1/2 power, just like that. Which means when we simplify this, so this puts us to where we need to know our power rule. For exponents, that tells us when we have a power raised to a power, we multiply those exponents. So 7 times 1/2 is going to be 7/2. So this is x to the 7/2. This is y to the 1st, since 2 times 1/2 is a 1, over here 3 times 1/2. Let's just call that 3/2 there. Once we have our exponents simplified, now we can go through our rules here. The first rule we're going to want to use is our power rule then. The power rule says when you have an exponent, you can simplify and condense that down by taking that you can simplify and expand that out by taking that exponent and bringing it down in front as a coefficient. So notice this p should now be in front of the expression. So before we do that, when we're expanding, and we need to expand this out, again, we have 1, 2, 3 terms in our problem. So when we expand this out, I kind of think about this of taking this log base b and distributing it to all terms that we have here. So like log base b of the x to the 7/2, log base b of the y, log base b of the z to the 3/2. So everything gets a log, right? The x, the y, and the z cubed. So we're expanding this out, so that log needs to go to all 3 of these. Now, we do need to fill in our signs in between these, and that is going to come from your product and your quotient rules. Keep in mind, if they are getting multiplied, that is your product rule. You're going to expand that out to an addition. If they're getting divided, you're going to expand that out to a subtraction. Or, better yet, everything in the numerator of your problem needs to be positive. Everything in the denominator of your problem needs to be negative. So that means that x to the 7th and the y should be positive. So there's no need to put it here in the front, but I am going to put a plus in front of this y. We are dividing by the z cubed. The z cubed is in our denominator, so that is going to have a minus to go along with that quotient rule. We're almost done here. The only thing left to do is to wrap up that power rule that I was talking about that says when we have an exponent, it needs to come down in front as a coefficient. So this 7/2 is going to go down in front. That is now going to look like a 7/2 log base b of x. Plus, we're just going to drop this middle one down since there is no exponent here. Minus this 3/2 is going to go down in front as 3/2 log base b of z. And that is our final answer.